So
Yeah.
you talked a bit earlier about like wanting to do these like smaller sort of projects,
Mm,
and I think that's like generally a good way to approach things because a lot of people they'll start doing a game project, maybe it's their first game, and they're sort of too visionary with it. They've got this
mm,
massive scope for a game. They don't really know how long it's going to take to implement. They don't have experience doing various parts of it. They're not really sure how to approach it. Maybe
mm,
they are considering doing art for the game and music for the game and doing all that stuff themselves. And suddenly, a game that could have been something that maybe takes a year is now something you're
mm,
still looking at like 5 years from now. And you're a whole different person by then. You have a whole different understanding of what sort of game you want to make. And I think, making these smaller games, if you're doing stuff by yourself, just makes a lot more sense.
yeah, I 100% agree. And that's even more so the case if you're working on it alone and part-time,
Right,
right?
right.
Because you just don't have the time to build the kind of thing that you want to build, right? So the other issue that you run into, like you mentioned, a 5-year project, is that by the time you get to like 2 years in, all the stuff that you did in the first 6 months needs to be scrapped and redone.
Hmm.
So you're just like extending that whole window of opportunity of like having to work on the same thing. Um, and then the other problem is that like you want to take as many shots as possible.
Mm.
If you spend 5 years on a project and it doesn't go well, that's when you quit.
Mm.
And there's some article I read about the number of indie studios that have released one game versus two games. Um,
Mm.
and it's like it was something like it was pulled from the Steam data. It was something like 38,000 indie studios that have released one game, and then it drops to like 5,000 or less
Mhm,
for
mhm.
two games. So, and this is why it happens. It's like people work on a project for 5 years, they release it, and it doesn't do well. And then why would they invest another 5 years into their next project? There's just no reason to do it.
Mhm, mhm.
It's really demotivating. So you want to assume that your game is going to make like 10 grand at most, and then build a game where you would be happy with that amount of money.
Mhm, mhm. Yeah, I just saw I can't find the article, but I see a number of Reddit posts like why do most
Mm,
Steam developers only have one game, and
yeah.
I that makes sense, and it's in many ways kind of similar in like video creation as well. I'll see people that say, "Oh, I want to be a YouTuber," and
Mm,
they'll spend 4 months working on their first video, and 5 people see it,
yeah.
and that's
Because
gonna
it's their first video.
yeah, it's gonna
Yeah.
take away all of your motivation. And
Hmm.
I get like wanting to make this big video, and then there are people that they make their first video and it pops off 100K views or first game, and it's a I don't know, it's a game like Hollow Knight or to any
Hmm.
of these companies that have released a massive first game,
Yeah.
but you can't bank on that happening.
100%. Yeah, and I think it's especially the case when if we're talking about video games, like if you're a gamer who's passionate about games and you think about what's your favorite game, it's probably going to be something like Hollow Knight. It's probably going to be something big.
Mhm.
And so if you try to build a game that's inspired by that, you're just setting yourself up for failure from the
Right.
get-go. And I think it's a little bit of I don't know if it's an ego thing or if it's just like a desire to build something great, but people will talk themselves out of doing something
Mm.
because it's too much effort to build like this 5-year project. Maybe they'll quit halfway through because they've just don't see an end to it. And it's because they've got themselves in this mindset where if I don't build something that's perfect, I may as well not build something at all.
Hmm. Hmm. No,
Yeah.
absolutely. Absolutely. And I've had a number of game devs on before who have sort of realized I want this game to be done. Like I've been doing this for a couple of years. Maybe they're even doing it full time for a couple of years, and they just don't want to look at it anymore. And
Mm,
I I can't imagine being in a position where I'm stuck on one project for that long and just like I know it's good and I know I want it to be good, but I've just seen it inside and out for so long
Yeah.
that I've sort of lost any like I know what I've done, but I can't even look at it objectively anymore.
Yeah, I know that feeling very well. My first game was like that.
Mhm.
It was not too ambitious, but still took me way longer than I thought it would.
Mhm.
And by the end, I was like, man, I cannot wait for this to be over.
Mhm.
Um, eh, and I guess the mindset shift that happened after that was like, I'm optimizing for sustainability, right?
Mm.
I don't want to build a game. I want to be someone who makes games. And so I might need to build multiple games. It might take me, another 5 years to actually build something that breaks out.
Mhm.
It may never happen. And so I want to take that long-term view of like, how can I keep this going? How can I keep my mental state happy? And the thing that is good is releasing products.
Mhm.
Working on a game is fine, but finishing a game, that's awesome, you know.
Mm.
So just changing that mindset a little bit, and when you come up with an idea, it's really like cutting that idea that you have down to the bare minimum. Like,
Mhm.
what's the smallest possible way
Right.
that I can represent this idea? Um, that's kind of the philosophy that I'm trying to lean into. And even with Blood Vial, I think it's maybe a step. It's not far enough. Like, I haven't cut it down enough. It's
Mm.
still a little bit on the big side for my skill set.
Right. Right. Like
Mm.
what's the core mechanic that drives the game forward?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, just focusing on that pure core mechanic and building something that's like really polished,
Mhm.
small but polished. Or even just choosing a game where the content is a little bit more emergent so that you don't have to spend as much time building things out manually.
Mm. Mm.
So there's strategies you can employ to try to like what bang for buck basically. How
Right.
much content can I get? Like fun, replayable content can I get from a small set of mechanics and minimal manual
Mhm.
design and manual work? I think
Mm.
that's where games like Vampire Survivors or the recently very successful Megabonk.
Which is definitely not by Danny. Not at all. Never.
Definitely not. Yeah, and there's no chance it's that. Yeah, no, it probably is. Um, I saw a great video about that, but maybe we should just park that conversation. Um, but yeah, that's a great example of like this game is just super replayable. Like the demo that came out for Megabonk was one level and like three characters, I think.
Mm.
But streamers would play the game like 10 times in a row just because of the build variety and the replayability. And it's
Mm.
like you want to try, I think for future projects, I really want to try and select games that are more like that. It's bang for buck. That's really the aim of the game.
Mm. Mm. Um, I'm I'm blanking on the game. There is a game that came out not long ago. It's you're just running through a world that's collapsing. It's a roguelike game. Um,
Haste?
yes, that one. Haste is
Yeah.
exactly the same sort of idea.
Yes. Yeah, it is. Yep. And I'm sure it did very well for Landfall.
Mhm.
I mean, Landfall always makes great stuff.
Mhm. Mhm.
But yeah, it's exactly that. Like the fact that they went for that procedural generation and that replayability
Mhm.
just means you get more playtime, you get more people playing the game over and over again. You have YouTubers and streamers who will play the game more than once,
Mhm.
and that just makes that natural marketing way easier and more effective.